Everyone says SpongeBob is the king of cartoon comedy. Endless memes, perfect timing, quotes you can deploy at any party. But Bluey somehow made grown adults binge a preschool show, borrow games from it, and sometimes cry on the couch. So who actually made the bigger impact on how we laugh, how we parent, and what we rewatch today? 7 rounds. 1 crown. Let's get into it. Here's how this works. We're grading Bluey and SpongeBob SquarePants across 7 categories. Story engine, humor, heart punch moments, characters and relationships, visual language and pacing, music and sound and memes,
Competition is done!
and cultural impact. I'll call a winner each round and then give a final verdict, for now. I'll keep the focus on what appears on screen, how the shows set up expectations, how they pay them off, and why the choices land the way they do. You can disagree in the comments, but bring receipts, episode names, specific beats, and the line that convinced you. Ready? Round 1. Story engine. At the heart of Bluey is an engine that almost feels like a magic trick. Imaginative play becomes real. The kids don't just pretend. They declare rules, assign roles, and suddenly the living room has gravity, currency, mythology. The parents don't merely tolerate it, they commit. Because the episodes run about 7 minutes, the structure is elegantly compact. Set up in a breath, complication before you can blink, and an emotional click right at the end. That compression forces clarity. There's no dead air. Every moment moves the game, and the game moves the characters. It's the kind of engine that pulls in very young kids and makes adults smile at the calibration. You can see the craft, but you never feel lectured. SpongeBob runs a different machine, nautical nonsense escalation. Start with a simple premise, work a shift, deliver a pizza, sell candy, and spin it into a tornado of bits. The timing is surgical. The structure breathes at 11 minutes, which lets the show ladder from A to B to a topper that feels both inevitable and surprising. The format is elastic, mockumentary framing, title card rhythms, wild close-ups, and genre parodies that shouldn't fit together, but do. You can drop into almost any episode cold and grasp the loop. SpongeBob's optimism slams into the world, and we watch the collision sparkle. Which engine is better? That depends on what you want the show to accomplish. Bluey turns tiny life into myth, making small feelings feel big without losing gentleness. SpongeBob turns small tasks into spectacular silliness, making big laughs feel earned by precision. One elevates the home, one expands the world. Both are nearly perfect at what they attempt, but they prioritize different truths. Bluey honors the reality of play. SpongeBob honors the rhythm of comedy. If you're writing your own series, study how each engine forces clean choices. Bluey keeps scope tight to go deep. SpongeBob keeps premises simple to go wild. Round 1 winner, tie. 2 flawless machines aimed at different targets. Round 2, humor. When people say SpongeBob, they mean timing. It's not just the punchline. It's when you cut, how long you hold, and which micro-expression you freeze so the audience's brain fills in the laugh. The show understands momentum. Quick setups, left turns that feel obvious only after they hit, and buttons that shut the door with a grin. The faces are industrial strength memes. The title cards smack like cymbals. Even silence becomes a joke with the right pause. That precision is why the show survives platform migrations and algorithm shifts. It's built from beats, and beats travel. Bluey's humor is quieter, but unnervingly sharp. It's the way adults recognize the exact parent face when a rule shifts mid-game. It's the way a balloon becomes an existential crisis at ceiling height. It's the speed with which a sibling can shift from giggles to tears, and back again because the game decides it. The show treats children as fully human, which is funnier than making them clowns. The punchline often lands as a nod rather than a cymbal crash, and that nod is sticky. Families replay these laughs in their own houses hours later, using the show's games as a script. Which one lands harder per minute? SpongeBob. The gag density is ruthless. The precision is a masterclass. Bluey still makes you laugh, but by design it trades a few decibels of volume for resonance. In a laughs per minute contest, SpongeBob takes it comfortably. Round 2. Winner, SpongeBob. If you're into animation deep dives like this, please subscribe. I post 2 breakdowns a week. Alright, round 3. Heart punch moments. This is where Bluey brings steel under the softness. There's an episode where bedtime is framed like a cosmic journey. Planets, orbits, and the gravity of a parent's arms rendered as literal astronomy. It's not flashy for the sake of it. It's film language serving childhood truth. Another story takes the quiet panic of developmental milestones. Why is their child walking before mine? And turns it into compassion without scolding. The show repeatedly finds the precise line where a feeling becomes a lesson without feeling like a lecture. Parents sit up straighter because, suddenly, someone on the screen understands them. SpongeBob can hit emotion, but that's not its baseline. When it swings tender, it's usually through friendship or professional pride translated into nonsense grandeur. Marching bands, earnest promises, the kind of loyalty that would be corny if the show weren't so sincere about it. Those moments land precisely because the default tone is anarchy. Contrast makes them sparkle. But Bluey's heartbeats are weekly, not special events. The small catharses accumulate: an apology, a repaired rule, a sibling offering space. The world doesn't need to end for the episode to matter. If the metric is, how often does the show make you feel something you carry for days? Bluey is the clear favorite. It aims for communion, not confetti, and it gets there. Round 3, winner, Bluey. Round 4, characters and relationships. Bluey operates with a compact ensemble and minds them deeply. Bandit and Chili aren't braced, flawless super parents. They're sleep-deprived and silly, capable of mistakes and model repair. That matters. Most kids' shows model rules. Bluey models repair, which is arguably the most adult skill a kid can learn by osmosis. Bluey and Bingo are not generic. They're stubborn, inventive, and often mischievous in ways that feel like real kids, not plot devices. Because the cast is small, the show can register a micro-glance and let it echo for the whole episode. SpongeBob runs a full archetype orchestra. The optimism of SpongeBob isn't just a trait, it's a philosophy. Squidward is thwarted ambition, with the volume knob permanently set to sigh. Patrick is literal logic that refuses to be embarrassed. Mr. Krabs is capitalism in a shell. Plankton is theater kid villainy that keeps pitching new shows. With this spread, the series can pivot into workplace satire, creative frustration, or best friend devotion on a dime. It's not that the characters don't grow, it's that their constancy is a feature. Their fixed points make the world feel stable while the jokes explode around them. Which system is more effective? If you want refined dynamics inside a home, the tiny negotiations that make a family, Bluey is unmatched. If you want an engine that can run any comedy scenario for 25 years without collapsing, SpongeBob is the blueprint. That's not fence-sitting. That's recognizing different kinds of mastery. Round 4 winner, SpongeBob depth versus range, both executed at a high level. Round 5, visual language and pacing. Bluey looks like a storybook you can walk into. Warm palettes, readable shapes, and affection for negative space. The compositions are deliberately clear so very young viewers can track the game rules. Wide shots establish the board. Gentle push-ins mark the emotional shifts. Pauses are allowed to breathe. That last piece is rare in children's television. Silence is risk. Bluey uses it like punctuation, trusting that the audience will lean closer rather than wander off. It works because the stakes are intimate. The show never shouts to prove it's interesting. SpongeBob is a timing clinic dressed like chaos. The grammar is unmistakable. Title cards as rhythmic resets, whip pans as punchlines, extreme close-ups that stamp a beat into memory. The animation embraces squash and stretch but never loses readability. There's a special courage in holding a frame a fraction too long, letting discomfort become the joke, and then detonating with a cut. That courage is why so many comedy editors study SpongeBob like a textbook. The show writes in beats the way musicians write in bars. If the question is, who teaches you more about the craft of short-form comedic cutting, it's SpongeBob. If the question is, who shows you how space and quiet can make a tiny story feel big, it's Bluey. But because we're choosing winners, the edge goes to the series that wrote an entire visual language for internet-era comedy and still plays on broadcast TV like a charm. Round 5 winner, SpongeBob. Round 6, music, sound, and memes. SpongeBob's sound design is a cultural operating system. The ukulele stings, the watery transitions, the bubble wipes, the title card guitar. Those fragments have become shorthand for "a joke is landing now." They're so recognizable that editors outside the franchise use similar rhythms to signal comedic timing even when SpongeBob isn't involved. Add the vocal performances, big, sincere, never embarrassed, and you get a sound that sells the show's whole worldview in a single second. Bluey's score aims smaller in scope but deeper in memory. It doesn't try to be a meme, it tries to be a keepsake. The music lifts play without smothering it. When emotion swells, it's earned and carefully mixed so as not to turn sentiment into syrup. There's a humility in the approach that feels exactly right for a show about parents and kids negotiating a day. It's a scrapbook soundtrack. After the episode, you don't hum the melody. You remember the moment. Strictly on audio identity, SpongeBob takes it. Instant recognition is power, and the show has it locked. Round 6 winner, SpongeBob. Round 7, cultural impact. Here's the crown round. SpongeBob is not merely popular, it's elemental. It helped teach the internet how to joke. Entire classes of reaction images, from stunned blinks to rage faces, carry SpongeBob DNA. The show's vocabulary is woven into the way people talk about boredom, work, art, friendship, even failure. It's a common language for multiple generations, which is beyond rare. Bluey detonated differently, inside homes. It changed bedtime routines. It changed how parents play. It gave dads and mums a blueprint for joining the game rather than managing it from the couch. It smuggled conversations about fairness, patience, and apology into houses that didn't want messaging. Teachers and therapists use clips as conversation starters. Grandparents text each other episode names. That is not the same thing as internet ubiquity, but it's just as real. Habits, not hashtags. So whose impact is bigger? On a macro scale, quotes, merchandise, global visibility. SpongeBob still wears the crown. On a micro scale, daily life, co-viewing, the tone of living rooms. Bluey is the current standard. Both are legitimate measures. Both matter. Our job is to weigh them. Round 7. Winner. Split decision. SpongeBob for ubiquity and longevity. Scorecard and final take. Let's tally it up. Humor, visual language and pacing, and music and sound, and memes and characters, and relationships go to SpongeBob. 4 big pillars. Heart punch moments is firmly Bluey. Story engine end in ties because they're genuinely optimized in different directions without obvious superiority. Cultural impact splits. SpongeBob's wide reach versus Bluey's in-home transformation. What does that mean? It means there is one winner, in my opinion. If you're asking which show defines how the internet laughs, it's SpongeBob by a mile. If you're asking which show currently defines how families watch together and talk afterward, it's Bluey. Not every throne sits in the same room. One is in the timeline. One is in the living room. And that's a beautiful outcome for animation fans. You can have the meme king and the living room laureate at the same time. What creators can steal from both? Who made the bigger impact for you, SpongeBob or Bluey? And what single episode proves it? Drop your vote and your example in the comments. I'm pinning the sharpest breakdown, especially if you bring a timestamp and explain the craft choice that sells it.
Next up, Family Guy versus The Simpsons. Best summer cartoon ever? If that sounds like your thing, please subscribe, tap the bell so you don't miss the upload, and share this with a friend who either quotes imagination unironically or has recently implemented Keepy Uppy in their living room. See you there.